Hello, this is Mike from Dimensional Walking, and today I'm going to title this one. It's actually a question. Could the Middle East be home to underground alien bases? I call this one part one. We'll see. Maybe I'll do more parts with it. Anyway, so this would be kind of I'm going to say a little bit of a deep dive into the various rumors, some history, and the general high strangeness of the whole region, the Middle Eastern region. So, for decades, whispers have circulated through intelligence circles, UFO researchers, and military insiders that Iran and the Middle East, particularly in the remote mountain areas, may host underground alien installations. These claims often come from individuals who have not are normally not considered the typical fringe voices, but people with some proximity to the defense or aerospace works. The idea is simple but explosive. If non-human intelligence have established subterranean footholds anywhere on Earth, the Middle East, particularly Iran, because it has vastly monitored interiors with uh, would be very prime real estate to building and having installations there. So Iran's geography is a perfect match for the classic underground base profile. The country is dominated by rugged mountain ranges, deep valleys, remote plateaus where human presence is at a minimum level, much like the American Southwest, which is considered, another hotspot for the underground uh, ground base lore. And of course, personally, I've been involved with underground base research for many years. And, obviously, I believe there's underground bases in places like New Mexico, especially. So the Middle East has these large uninhabited regions ideal for concealing entrances, extensive cave systems formed by volcanic and tectonic activity, a long history of military secret surrounding nuclear and aerospace sites, a pattern in UFO sightings that are near sensitive installations. This last point is not speculative. Iran has one of the most famous and well documented UFO encounters in the world's history, and that was in 1976, called the Tehran incident, where multiple military and civilian witnesses observed luminous objects that disabled weapon systems and communication on two F-4 Phantom jets sent to intercept this large um, luminous object. The case is notable because it had radar confirmation. The and there was signs of electronic interference. It also was taken serious enough to be reported to the NSA in the United States and the White House. This incident alone established that something with advanced capabilities has shown interest in the Iran airspace. The Middle East and Iran hasn't been quiet since 1976. A wave of sightings in 2004 involving disc-shaped um, uh, objects, shaped objects, were observed in multiple cities, including Iran and Iraq. Some sightings occurred near nuclear facilities, and radar operators reported failed locks and anonymous returns. These events were widely discussed in the media, in the Middle Eastern media, and remained very much unexplained. More recent reports, though less publicized, occurred to surface, especially regions near military zones, which included glowing aerial objects hovering over desert areas, fast moving lights tracked by civilian observers, and objects appearing on radar but invisible to the pilots. There was also these cylindrical craft seen near the Zagros Mountains, None of these prove that there are underground bases, of course, but they reinforce the idea that the Iranian and the Middle Eastern in general skies attract attention from unknown intelligence. The claim you heard that Iran hosts underground bases usually comes in two forms. Okay. First is a joint human non human facility, very similar to the rumors in Dulce, New Mexico. Okay. And the second thing is the fully autonomous alien installations hidden deep in mountain ranges. The second version is more common in the Eastern UFO lore. The idea that non-human groups prefer remote, geographically stable regions with minimal electromagnetic noise and low human presence. Iran's interior fits this perfectly. Some point to these Zagros Mountains, a massive chain of thousands of caves and deep, inaccessible valleys. Others mention Dashakarva and Dashalu deserts, two of the harshest environments on Earth, where satellite coverage is limited and ground access is nearly impossible, which would make it a very ideal place for underground base entrances and underground bases. So this part of the claim is fascinating. It actually aligns with global UFO patterns. Historically, UFO activity spikes around wars, nuclear testing, military buildups, large-scale troop movements. Okay? Iran in the Middle East is no exception. In 1976, incident occurred during a period of intense Cold War tension. 2004 also had a wave uh, which coincided with international pressure over Iran's nuclear program. If underground non-human installation exists, a major conflict, especially one involving bunker-busting bombs, nuclear facilities, or deep penetrating strikes, could disrupt subterranean structures, trigger defensive responses, and expose hidden entrances, and also would possibly interfere with whatever energy systems are being used by an alien group. This is where I like to refer to this bee metaphor comes in. If the hive is disrupted, the occupants react. If an underground alien base was threatened by military actions, you might see sudden mass sightings, interference with aircraft, objects leaving or entering the ground, increased electromagnetic anomalies. Given Iran and the Middle East history of UFOs disabling military systems, this is not a stretch within a speculative framework. If such bases exist, they would complicate any military strategy in the region. Nations planning to strike could have to consider the following unknown technologies that responses could be, potential collateral effects, the risk of escalating into a non-human confrontation. This may be one reason why some insiders claim that the certain countries thread carefully around Iran and some of the other Middle Eastern countries, not just because of the human politics, but because what might be beneath the ground. Iran is not unique in these type of rumors. Similar claims exist in Tibet, Antarctica, uh, Brazil, Brazil mountainous areas, Alaska Brooks Range, and Australia's Pine Gap. And I've talked about the Pine Gap many times. In each case, the pattern is the same: remote terrain, military secrecy, and persistent UFO activity. The Middle East, in conclusion, the Middle East fits this global template almost too well. If I get a decent interest in this subject, I will probably do one or two more on it because there's quite a bit more to tell. So, anyways, hope you enjoyed, and happy trails until we meet again. Bye bye.